free, Big Grape, free! Yay! Yay! We put this shit on for you, Big Grape! Talk your shit, Grape! Talk your shit! Big Grape! Free who? Big Bull out! Ain't no more free my dude, fuck! None of that pain today.
The woman you see here, beaming with pride, clinging to the man she waited years for, that's 25-year-old Jouri Caples. Her boyfriend, DBO Grape, had just been released from prison, and this wasn't just a reunion. It was a celebration of loyalty, of second chances, of love that endured through bars, court dates, and collect calls. For Jouri, she had held him down while he served his time, and now that he was home, she was all in, ready to build a life they had only dreamed of through letters and late-night phone calls. But just a few days later, that dream would be shattered. On the evening of November 11th, 2021, Memphis police found Jouri slumped in the driver's seat of her white Jeep Cherokee. She had been shot once in the head at close range. Her lifeless body was discovered in a driveway on Print Avenue, less than 2 miles from her home. There were no signs of forced entry, no signs of a struggle, and the killer vanished without a trace. At first, there were more questions than answers, but as detectives searched deeper, a disturbing truth began to take shape. This is the life and death of Jouri Caples.
She told me she was going to school, and when she left school, she was going to meet somebody to get some shoes. I guess she never made it that far. I never think I'd put my sister in a casket, man. I'm just for my sister. I can't sleep. I can't eat, y'all. I need help.
25-year-old Jouri Caples, affectionately called Jay by family and friends, was born in 1995 and raised in the Nutbush neighborhood of North Memphis, Tennessee, a tight but struggling community known more for its challenges than its opportunities. From a young age, Jouri had a maturity about her. She carried the responsibilities of life with the quiet strength of someone much older. Her childhood was shaped by the realities of her environment, where violence wasn't uncommon, and families often leaned on one another just to get by. Despite the hardships, Jouri remained grounded, often described by her loved ones as nurturing, protective, and fiercely loyal. That love showed in the way she moved through life. Family meant everything to her. Photos shared by her loved ones show a smiling young woman surrounded by children, although they weren't hers, but you'd never know it by the way she cared for them. Her deep love for children was undeniable, and those closest to her say she had a nurturing spirit that came naturally. That nurturing spirit would lead into becoming a mother. Jouri stepped in as a mother figure to 2 of her nephews, raising them as her own when their home life became unstable. She helped with homework, made sure they had meals, and was the one cheering loudest at their school events. In many ways, Jouri became their safe place, the one who provided structure, warmth, and unwavering support when they needed it most. Her social media profile showed that she studied at the University of Memphis and attended Hamilton High School. Those who knew her say she was determined to build a better life, not just for herself, but for those around her. She worked hard to create stability and structure, often juggling multiple responsibilities without complaint. Though she wasn't wealthy, she managed her resources wisely, making sure her home was a place of comfort and safety. Online, her Facebook posts revealed another side of her, one full of emotion, complexity, and unfiltered honesty. Her posts spoke about love, patience, and relationships that brought both joy and pain. She once joked, not knowing the accident waiting ahead wasn't one she would live to tell the story, but one post stood out. A birthday tribute from earlier that year that read, "The man she was talking about? A 28-year-old known as DBO Grape, or simply Grape, as he was popularly called. He had a criminal record and a past that followed him, one that made it hard to stay on a straight path, but Jouri stood by him regardless. According to her posts, they had been together for 5 years, with much of that time spent waiting through his incarceration. She frequently shared messages of love and encouragement, counting down the months until his release and expressing how much she missed him.
Oh, you gotta make them cheeks clap on this.
Come on here and see the rest for this shit get messed
Make
up.
them cheeks clap on this.
Gotta look on the bed, dude. This how it comes. Let's see what the left on over there, Jay.
See?
Somebody. Because I ain't know what size you were. Let's see. Come on, look in the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, them the extra. You used in the restroom.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Oh, man.
Damn. You want some of them? Well, you got them. Whatever you ask for, you get.
I want one pair. He's like, I can't have my
Dad at home. Damn. This shit hard right there. Come on, come this way, Grape.
Her loyalty never wavered. Friends said she saw the good in him, even when others didn't.
Gas man, DBO. Oh, wait. You ain't in Miami with the skid.
In Miami with,
Oh, wait.
and I got the blicky.
Oh, wait.
Not the blicky.
Not the blicky. I was say, what you got the blicky out here for?
Got
Two
the
ish.
blicky.
I don't like that. I don't like no nigga with no blicky out in Miami like he got enemies out here or something.
I heard them Haitian was out.
Oh, we okay.
She spoke often about their plans for the future, dreaming of a home, stability, and the kind of love that could survive anything. That day finally came in 2021, but it didn't last, as tragedy would strike. November 11, 2021 began like any other morning for the Caples family. Journey got her nephews ready for school, making sure their clothes were neat and their backpacks packed, just like she always did. Then she called her sister Candace, something that had become a comforting part of their daily routine. They talked about their plans for the day, laughing and exchanging updates. It was such an ordinary errand. Shoes. Nothing that hinted at trouble. Journey had mentioned wanting a new pair, something simple and affordable. She wasn't flashy, but she liked to look nice. But hours passed, and Candace tried calling again and again. The calls rang out, going straight to voicemail. At first, Candace told herself that there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe Journey's phone battery died, or she was caught up with schoolwork. But by late afternoon, that uneasy feeling started to settle in her stomach. Journey never went this long without checking in, especially with the kids depending on her. When the wait became unbearable, Candace's worry turned into fear. Something was wrong. She could feel it. She got in her car and drove to Journey's house. It was just a 15-minute trip, and when she turned onto the familiar street, her heart dropped.
When I got to my sister's house, I felt it. Something was wrong. And that's when the detectives told us we had to stay there for a minute. When they said that, I already knew my sister was gone.
Officers confirmed her worst fears. At around 6 p.m., Memphis police were alerted to a shooting at Print Avenue. When they got to the scene, they found 25-year-old Journey Caples slouched down on her steering wheel inside a white Jeep Cherokee. Journey had been shot in the head. By the time first responders arrived, she was already gone. Investigators knew immediately it wasn't a random act of violence. It was deliberate. The killer had fired at close range, aiming with precision, leaving no room for survival.
She was found in the back of the vehicle, slumped over on the driver's side. She had been shot once in the head.
There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence she saw it coming. The location wasn't some unfamiliar street. This was an area she knew. That made it all the more chilling. Whoever pulled the trigger didn't just happen upon her. They knew her routine, knew where she'd be, and waited for the right moment to strike. This wasn't impulsive, it was targeted. But while the scene offered few answers, investigators were already closing in on something important. Memphis police responded quickly, blocking off the street and canvassing the neighborhood for witnesses or security footage. Officers went door to door, hoping someone had seen or heard something, anything, that could help piece together what had happened. But getting people to talk in Nutbush is always a challenge. It's a neighborhood where people keep to themselves, where survival often depends on silence. In a place where trust is hard-won and fear runs deep, most residents looked away or claimed to know nothing. Some may have seen flashes or heard gunshots, but sharing that information meant risking their safety. For detectives, it was like hitting a wall of silence. And for Journey's family, it meant the answers they so desperately needed weren't coming anytime soon. But this was Journey. People liked her. She wasn't a troublemaker. She wasn't into the streets. So when officers started asking around, residents wanted answers too. How does a young woman get murdered in her own car, in broad daylight, and no one sees a thing? Then came a breakthrough. A doorbell camera from a nearby house captured something chilling. It captured the footage of someone leaving Journey's vehicle. They weren't running. They weren't panicked. They walked away, slowly, calmly, like they had nothing to hide.
The murder was picked up by a door cam, leaving the vehicle, so which kind of led me to believe that the person might stay somewhere in the area.
Police released the video to the public, hoping someone would recognize the figure. You could see the clothing, the build, the way the person walked, but the face? Obscured. Just enough to frustrate investigators. The murder of 25-year-old Journey Caples shook her family, her friends, and the entire Memphis community. It wasn't just the loss of a young woman with so much ahead of her, it was the way it happened. Sudden, cold, and senseless. But it wasn't long before speculation took aim at someone. During the early stages of the investigation, rumors began circulating that Journey's boyfriend, DBO Grape, might have had a hand in her death. The whispers gained traction quickly, fueled by their complicated history and the fact that, allegedly, just days before the shooting, some noticed signs of tension between the two. But Grape didn't stay silent. He took to Facebook to publicly deny any involvement in her murder, claiming he had been in a car auction in Lakeland, Tennessee at the time of the shooting. In his post, he expressed heartbreak over her death and frustration with what he called false narratives. He even shared screenshots of location tags and conversations he said proved his whereabouts. Still, his statement did little to stop the speculation. Some believed him, others weren't so sure. Investigators reportedly looked into his alibi, but whether it was ever fully verified remains unclear. In the days that followed, grief poured in from all corners of the city. Social media was flooded with tributes, candles were lit in her honor, and her loved ones gathered to mourn a life taken far too soon. But grief without justice quickly turned into frustration. As the weeks turned into months and the months turned into years, the silence surrounding her case only deepened. Leads grew cold. No arrests had been made, no eyewitnesses had come forward, and each birthday, holiday, and anniversary became another painful reminder of what was stolen and how justice never came. Now, 2 years after Journey was found shot to death inside her car, her family is still left holding the same unanswered question they had on day one. Who killed Journey Caples?
Tomorrow marks 1 year since a woman was found shot to death in a car parked in a driveway in Memphis. And as the anniversary of her death nears, her family is still looking for answers. Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre has been looking into this story. And Jeremy tells us that Journey Caples was only 25 years old when she was gunned down.
Family still searching for those answers, desperately searching for those answers. Tomorrow will make a year since her shooting death in a bird-clad neighborhood. Now, let me tell you, there are pieces of evidence, specific pieces of evidence Memphis police are looking at. Matter of fact, Crime Stoppers released pictures, surveillance pictures of a man walking away from the driveway where they sadly found Miss Journey Caples nearly a year ago. And it's a specific backpack, her father says, that can lead them to the person responsible for killing his daughter.
And say that the investigation is cold because that the person had all kind of masks on. It was picked up by a door cam that was blurry, but the person carried a distinctive backpack.
The Crime Stoppers footage, clear enough to show a figure walking away from Journey's white Jeep Cherokee, but blurry enough to obscure the suspect's face, became both a crucial clue and a source of endless frustration. It was proof that someone knew exactly what they were doing. Her father, Jouri Caples, has remained outspoken and relentless in the pursuit of justice. He's shown up at community events, spoken to media outlets, and pleaded with the public for information. According to him, detectives believe the case has stalled largely because the person in the video wore a mask, making identification nearly impossible. But one small detail could still crack the case open. The alleged shooter was wearing a brown MCM designer backpack, a bold, branded accessory. Not something you'd expect a killer to carry, and certainly not something that would go unnoticed in a community like Nutbush, where people recognize each other and remember the little things. Still, Jouri refuses to give up. For him, that blurry footage isn't just evidence. It's a haunting reminder that the person who murdered his daughter is still out there, walking free. Now, Journey's family is leaning into hope, into persistence, and into faith that someone out there remembers that bag, or the person who always wore it. But hope alone isn't enough. In the years since her death, Journey's loved ones have refused to stay silent. Her father, in particular, has stayed active, walking the streets of Nutbush, especially around Print Avenue, where his daughter's body was found. He talks to neighbors. He studies body language. He's even tried to match people's gait, the way they walk, to the footage he's seen dozens of times. But even the strongest efforts can only go so far without help. So Journey's family planned a remembrance. But this wasn't just a quiet gathering to reflect on her life. It was a bold call to action. Held near the spot where she was killed, the event brought together loved ones, community members, and local activists, all united by one message: someone knows something. They shared memories, lit candles, and released balloons, but the focus remained clear. This was also a public plea for answers. Her family spoke directly to the community, urging anyone with information to come forward. Alongside the emotional tributes came a renewed incentive, an increased reward offered through Crime Stoppers for any tip that could lead to an arrest. They were done waiting in silence. This was their way of turning grief into movement, of making sure Journey's name didn't fade while her killer remained free. The Crime Stoppers' reward for information was increased by $4,000, added to the standard offering already in place. It wasn't just about money, it was about urgency. The added reward was a deliberate move, meant to shake loose the silence that had gripped the case for far too long. Her family hoped it would be enough to push someone, anyone, who had seen something, heard something, or suspected something, to finally come forward. Still, no arrests have been made, and so her family waits. Her father keeps searching. Her sister still grieves.
Loving, kind, sweet, don't bother nobody. And for them to take her life for nothing, it's hurting me, it's hurting my dad, it's hurting her mom.
It was a senseless act of violence. That's all it was. And I hate that.
The boys she raised keep growing up without her, and the video of that masked, unbothered figure walking away keeps playing in the minds of everyone who loved her. It's a pain that time hasn't softened, a wound that remains open because justice has yet to arrive. Journey Caples was more than a face on a news report. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother figure, and a light in her community. She deserved protection, she deserved answers, and above all, she deserved more time. We can only hope that someone, somewhere finds the courage to speak, that the silence breaks, that the truth comes to light, and that one day soon, the Caples family gets what they've been waiting for all this time: justice for Journey. What do you think about this? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.